Hi, and welcome to When They Dare to Be Powerful, a podcast series celebrating the legacy of Black women in librarianship. This series highlights the contributing authors and the extraordinary librarians featured in the book, The Legacy of Black Women in Librarianship, edited by Dr. Nicole A. Cooke. Together, these stories honor the brilliance, resilience, and leadership of Black women who have shaped and continue to shape our profession. I'm your host, Dr. Cearra Harris, and in each episode, we center the voices behind this important work, exploring their contributions, their scholarship, and the lasting impact of the women they uplift. Each conversation in this series honors an opportunity to reflect on legacy, what it means, how it's built, and why it matters. These stories remind us that Black women have always been powerful forces in librarianship, even when their work went unrecognized or undocumented. Before we dive in, if you haven't picked up a copy of the book, I encourage you to do so today. It's an essential read for librarians, information professionals, scholars, and anyone committed to preserving and honoring our collective history. On today's episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with Dr. LaVerne Gray. Dr. Gray highlighted the legacy of Charlemae Hill Rollins in their chapter. Dr. Gray completed her PhD in the College of Communication and Information at the University of Tennessee, her dissertation in A Collective Voice, uncovering the Black feminist information community of activist mothers in Chicago public housing from 1955 to 1970, explored Black feminist agency and community development within constructed urban spaces. Using critical race theory and Black feminist perspectives, Dr. Gray's research explores information location and value in marginal community spaces. She is keenly interested in African American historical information collectives and archival evidence analysis. In this conversation, we discuss her wonderful contribution to the legacy of Black women in librarianship and reflect on the woman whose story she helped bring to life. Dr. Gray is probably one of my favorite people in the field, so I'm so excited and honored to share this conversation with you all. Here's my beautiful conversation with Dr. LaVerne Gray. Dr. Gray, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk about your book chapter and When They Dare to Be Powerful. Let's jump into it. I want to know just a bit about your background to start us off, though. So you tell me a bit about yourself and what you do in our field.
Okay, yes. Again, my name is LaVerne Gray. Right now, I'm assistant professor at Syracuse University's iSchool. I was a academic librarian from about 2005 to 2013. And I worked at various academic institutions, mostly in public services, a lot of outreach, a lot of information literacy, and I received my doctorate in, I finished my studies in 2018, but received it in 2019. And I've been here at Syracuse since then as a professor, training the next generations of librarians.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm a big fan of you. Before I even did my own PhD, I was a big fan. You're one of the people who inspired me to get started. So I want to know what inspired you to be a part of When They Dare to Be Powerful.
Okay, so I was inspired because I was encouraged to do it. Right. I didn't know about the project in the beginning, truly. And Dr. Nicole Cooke, I've known her since I was a librarian and she was a doc student. And so she's a mentor of mine. And she said, I need you to write this chapter. And so I said, okay. She said, it's a book on Black women in librarianship. And truthfully, I participated in a special issue of Libraries, Cultural History, and Society. And I wrote an article about a fairly unknown figure. And so I was happy that she reached back out to me to participate in this project.
Awesome. So we want to encourage readers to pick up a copy of the book and to read your chapter. So without telling us too much, can you tell me a bit about the librarian that you wrote about?
Okay, and so Dr. Cook also encouraged me to write about Charlemagne, Mrs. Charlemagne. Rollins, and it's Hill Rollins. And she's a librarian from Chicago, and that's my hometown. And so actually, I've known about Charlemae Hill Rollins since I was a preschooler
Mm.
because she did several books and where she compiled things, right? And so my grandmother was a preschool teacher. And so it was almost like kismet because during the pandemic, my mom started cleaning up the house, and my grandmother passed away like 20, over 20 years ago in 2000. But she had a first edition copy of this book that Charlemagne Rollins did, and Charlemagne had signed it. It was signed back in 1965 that my grandmother got it. And so I was happy to do it. I know there was a lot of stuff out there about her already, so I wanted to like do it in my own way.
I love that. And it kind of feels full circle too. So
Mhm.
what did learning about Ms. Hills Rollins, like what did that do to shift your perspective and your place in our field? Like, did it inspire you?
Yes, and I'll add this to it. I taught a class um, at our at the high school for undergraduates called Black Information and Memory. And in preparation for that class, I had a fellowship from the special collections, and I spent the summer there. And we have the papers of Arna Thompson. He was a librarian and Harlem Renaissance writer, poet, a children's book writer, the whole nine. And he had a correspondence with her. And that's that is what inspired me, that relationship that I could see on paper between the two of them. And I believe I was on a panel with Dr. Cooke and others, and I highlighted just a piece of that correspondence. And I believe that, brought me to her. And what I learned was that she never stopped.
Mm.
She never stopped. That means she was publishing and working into her 60s, right? And it wasn't like she was working herself to death. You know how we say that. But it was her doing her passion work at later stages in her life. And that's one thing that I learned that I wasn't aware of.
What did it mean for you professionally and personally to really be a part of this collective body of work?
Personally, I was glad to be in the number and in that crowd. It was such a work because it's groundbreaking. And it's simple yet complicated. What brought it about is complications of absence, right? But it's simply these love letters and tributes and biographies and conceptual wrangling with ideas around Black women in the library field. And so it's just and to be able to meet some of the other authors, and I have, that I didn't know already. And I saw a connective thread,
Mm.
or I see a connective thread. Mhm.
think that's one of the most beautiful parts about being in our field. We find our community and the community just sticks. And I'm curious, like, what does Miss Charlemagne's legacy mean to you as a Black woman in our field? Especially that y'all are from the same hometown.
Okay, so a couple things, and I think Dr. Cook recognizes this, is this as a woman who operated in partnership and in community, right? And so even from her early days in Chicago in the library system, she was connected with the other Black women who were in that system. She's a groundbreaker in her own way, but she was amongst groundbreakers, right? And so that resonates with me more than anything is that her connection to community, not just her professional community, but also the Black community. Because where she worked, and you can find this if you do a Google search, is at Hall Branch, where she ended, well, the last big part of her career. And that was designed, that branch was conceived of and designed to be that one library branch in the historic Black community. Well, it was historic then because it was the 1930s, but it was that one branch. And so there, it was completely about what can we do to service these adults and children in this community, period. Right. And so that kind of spirit inspires me.
If readers pick up your book, which they will after seeing this interview, what is one message you want them to take away after reading your chapter?
I would say, and I think I might have said it at the end of the chapter, it's about, it's very specific. It's not really biographical. That, and it's one line, I'll read this, that Rollins is indicative of Black genius that resists against notions of individualism.
Mm,
And so that's part of the last sentence. And that is really what I want to have resonate because we're in a society where the self is promoted. And when she knew that she needed partnership to help uplift Black children and provide them with something, she knew she couldn't do that alone. And she knew that the community itself had already communicated how to do that. And she was just this vessel for that. And so that is what I want folks to take away from the chapter.
beautiful. That's beautiful. So to close, looking ahead, because we're always looking forward as librarians, what is your hope for the future of our field, especially for Black women emerging as librarians and information professionals?
To be on purpose.
Ooh,
The
yes.
more the more I research and write about the women and in each instance, I think there's probably my third work now. They're all small except the one article, is that each of them had this strong sense of purpose. And that's what singled them out. And it was purpose in servicing the Black community. And I'm
Mm,
not taking that away from any other place. But when you have that type of purpose and lead going forward, there's nothing that cannot be done. Another thing that I uncovered with these women is the how to prioritize these things in your life, right?
mm,
We're doing intellectual work. And so involved in that, we call it rest these days. In those days, they might have called it, their life, right? So they had different aspects of their lives. And I think that's another thing that we're on the way to understanding better. Um, and I think that has to be a major part of it. And to always don't remove yourself from community.
mm.
Sometimes we, take off time. We do not take off, but we do different paths, like earning a PhD or, moving to another job or having hostile work environments, which all of those things I've had done before, but you can only be as safe as you make it for yourself. So you have to, in the future, know your power, know your nimbleness, understand how many options you have. And you never go wrong when you're in community.
I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. I think that's what I'm trying to do as well. So that's perfect. And I think that's what we're all trying to do as Black women.
Mhm.
So thank you so much, Dr. Gray. I'm forever inspired by you, but I want to say thank you for lending your time and your expertise to contributing to such a meaningful body of work. I want to encourage everyone to pick it up. Thank you so much, Dr. Gray.
You are welcome. Thank you, Dr. Harris.
A special thank you again to Dr. Gray for your meaningful contribution to the legacy of Black women in librarianship. It's always an honor to speak with you. Your work is powerful, necessary, and it's deeply affirming. We are better as a profession because of the work you do. Friends, if you haven't grabbed a copy yet, what are you waiting on? Pick up a copy today. These stories deserve to be read, remembered, and shared. Thank you for listening to another episode. I'm your host, Dr. Cearra Harris, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.